What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about this. This is the Polar Unite. Alright guys, so Polar did send over this for me to do a review of, but we had no prior agreement whether to do a positive or negative review. This is my own thoughts on this product, and if you guys know about the Polar Unite, I actually did an unboxing of it, so if you guys want to check that out, you can click on it over here or over there or wherever it is. But the Polar Unite is a watch. It's not really made for runners. It's made for more casual fitness goers or someone that doesn't care about the GPS data that much, because this watch does not have GPS inside of it. It actually has GPS through your phone. So it can connect through your phone to get GPS, but it doesn't have GPS inside of it. So this is the watch right here, and this is Polar's most budget-friendly, most affordable watch. So if you want to get into the Polar system, this is going to be something that you're going to want to look at, because it's only $150, which is pretty budget-friendly, but it's also in a very competitive space where there's a lot of other watches that you could go with instead of this. So let's go ahead and take a look at the watch over here. This is the watch right here. You can see that it is a pretty simple design, just pretty flat, and I actually do like it. It kind of reminds me of like a Movado watch, if you guys know those watches. Pretty simple but elegant. So the watch right here is a 43.4 by 43.4 by 10.4 millimeter watch. So it's not a huge watch by any means, and the screen is going to be a little bit smaller because there is a bit of a chin over here, and there's also the flat tires. You can see right here on the bottom there is a bit of a flat tire look. It's kind of reminiscent of the old Android watches, so it does have that flat tire. For me, it's not a huge thing. It kind of disappears because the screen is so black. The screen is not an OLED screen. It's actually a IPS TFT screen, but it is very vibrant. Like you can see right there, all the colors are super high contrast. That black background is nice. You can also see that the screen does not stay on very long. It stays on for about 6 seconds. That's something that I wish they would let us change. I wish they would let us have it at least 10 seconds or longer, because that 6 seconds is just so short. And in order to wake up the watch, you do have to do a wrist flip, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's not the most responsive thing whenever you try to flip your wrist. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, like I said. So you can see the screen there. It is a little bit small, so there is a little bit of a chin over there, and then the screen is a touch screen. So to touch it, you just have to slide over here left and right. For me, it works okay. It's not a horrible touchscreen, but it's also not the greatest. Definitely nothing compared to what your smartphone has. Those are pretty responsive. This sometimes can be hit or miss, and I don't know, it's just okay for me. And then if you go to the case is a glass fiber reinforced polymer case, so basically a plastic case. So it's not made of the most highest end material. The only metal on the watch is this stainless steel button over here, and this is the only button that it does have. And the back of it is going to be the heart rate monitor, and it's going to have different colors. That just helps the heart rate monitor see through different skin types, different skin colors. What is changed with this Polar Unite compared to the Polar Ignite, so I'll pull up the Polar Ignite over here, is that it is charged differently. So you can see right here, this is the Polar Ignite, has 4 different contact points, and this one also has 4 different contact points, but it's right over here. So the way that you would charge the Polar Ignite is with this thing right here. So this is the charger for the Polar Ignite. You just stick it on there like a puck, and it'll be charging. The way that you charge the Polar Ignite is with this. This is the little charging, I don't know, stick, I guess. And what you have to do is line it up over there and then stick it on. So this is the way that you charge it, and then you would just plug this into a USB. I can see myself losing this. In fact, I've had to look for this multiple times. It's just a small form factor, and if it did have a cord like all the other Polar watches have, they have a cord with it, there's going to be less likelihood that I will lose this. So I do wish that, even if it is a different form factor, I wish that it had a cord with it, so at least you could have that with it. Not my favorite thing on the watch for sure. And then the next thing that we'll talk about is going to be the wrist strap. The wrist strap is this kind of rubber silicone type of material, and it's laser etched to look like fabric. So you can see right there, it kind of looks like it's a fabric type of material, but it does hold on to a lot of like salt or dirt pretty easily. And it does come with two different watch straps. So this is the long one that I have on there, and this is the shorter one. For me, I'm a bigger guy, so I definitely have a bigger wrist. So I put the bigger one on there. So what you would do is with this one, it's kind of like this Apple-esque watch type of strap. So you would stick it through one of the wrist strap holes and then stick it through here like that. So that's how you would pretty much wear the watch. For sure, the first couple of weeks when I was wearing this watch, it was kind of a nuisance to put it on. The hole wasn't that big, so every time you put it on, it was a little bit of struggle. But now it's not horrible, but I do not like this wrist strap. I wish that it just had the normal wrist strap like the Polar Ignite has like that. I like that one a lot better for sure. Alright, so that is the watch. Let's take a look at the different screens that it has. So let's go ahead and go to the first screen. And so this is the first screen that you're going to get with the Polar Ignite. This is just the time, the date, and the day. So that's all you're going to get with that. The next screen is going to be your activity screen. So it's going to tell you what activity you did. So you can see today, so far I did about 7,000 steps, 4 hours and 5 minutes of active time, burnt 3,000 calories. So yeah. The next screen is going to be my current heart rate. So if I had this on, it would actually tell me my current heart rate. But you can see over here, it says so far today, I had a high of 167 and a low of 55. That's going to be it on that screen. And then we go to the next screen. This is going to be my training session. So this is basically your training history. So this morning I did an hour of strength training. And then it will show all my other training that I've done throughout the week, like that. And then if we go to the next screen, this is going to be your nightly recharge. I did sleep with it last night. I usually don't sleep with a watch because I do have sleep apnea and I don't really trust all these sleep monitors. You know, sometimes it'll tell me I slept great and I'll wake up with a headache. I'll wake up groggy because I know that I wasn't sleeping well. I was waking up multiple times throughout the night. So I don't really trust these things as much as other people do. But, you know, it's a fun thing for you guys to look at. I just say don't trust them. But you know, a lot of people do like the Polar one, and we'll see what it showed me last night. So if you see on that, that's my nightly recharge. It says that I had an okay sleep, good sleep charge, not so great on the autonomic nervous system. So that's what that is. So let's look at my sleep details. I said I had 75. I had a 75 battery recharge or sleep charge, and then I slept for 7 hours and 39 minutes. And actual sleep was 93%. So it definitely gives you all the sleep data that you could look at. For me, it was cool the first couple of days, the first weeks when I had it, but I stopped looking at it. But this is important, the sleep data. It is important to wear this on your wrist every day because this will actually take into account your sleep and see how well recovered you are. So if we take a look at the next screen over, this is going to be your Fit Spark. So Fit Spark will actually give you daily workouts that you should do depending on how well rested you are and how much you trained the day before. So almost like a personal trainer on your wrist. And this is really one of the reasons that I like Polar, because it does have a lot of other metrics that it measures that other watches don't. So you can see right here, it's telling me I should do like a supportive session of training. You can see what it tells you right there. So right now it's telling me to do mobility static. So if we look at that, click on that, we say it's a 20-minute workout. You can see that it's a 20-minute workout. You can actually see exactly what it wants you to do. So you see it wants me to do a side stretch over here, and it gives you a little animation over here, a little stick figure person stretching to the side for 1 minute. Do the world's greatest stretch, which is apparently that thing. And then it wants me to do a seated hamstring stretch, a calf stretch, and that's about it. I think I have to repeat that for, you know, a couple of times. I think this is a really cool feature. I haven't used it enough. I definitely should. I test a lot of watches. So I'm not always wearing my Polar watches, which I probably should pick a watch to wear as my daily driver, but I just try to wear as many watches as possible. But for sure, that is a cool thing to have, this little Fit Spark right here. So the other screen that you can get is if you press this side button, the only button that it has, if you press that, you can start your training, and there's a lot of different training on there. So if we open up the app right here, and you can see all the different sports profiles that it has. So there's a lot of other ones besides these that I have shown. If we look over here, there's so many. I think there's over 120, over 200, something like that. But they have Les Mills Grit if you guys like to do, you know, in studio workouts. that your gym may offer is orienteering, Pilates, rugby, skating, table tennis, windsurfing, yoga, all these different little things that it can help you measure. Basically, a lot of them I found out it's just basically measuring your calorie burn and how long you work out. Not a whole lot of things that it's measuring when it's doing all those workouts, but it will have some of that. Just depending on your sports, but for sure, for running, cycling, swimming, it has a lot more metrics than the other sports. And then if you go to the next screen over here, this is gonna be the Serene Screen. Basically, this is a breathing exercise. It's gonna tell you to breathe in for a couple of seconds and then breathe out. It's like a 5 to 10 minute exercise just to help you relax whenever you're stressed out. Again, I've only used it 2 or 3 times. Not something that I would buy the watch for sure. And then if we look at the next screen, you have your timer. So this is going to be your different timers, your stopwatch, your countdown. Speaking of a stopwatch or countdown timer, you know what? For me, whenever I'm using it in the gym, and this watch only has one button, so there is no manual lap function. You can have a lap function if you are doing a workout and you set it to do it for like 5 minutes. It'll switch over for another lap. But for me, I like to time my rest period, especially when I'm working out in the gym. I don't want to rest for too long, so I usually rest for about 1:30 for my heavy workouts and 45 seconds for my more hypertrophy workouts. So I like to have that, but this does not allow you to have that manual lap feature that I like to have so I could time my different rest sessions. I think that for a watch that is aimed more towards a CrossFitter or somebody who works out at the gym who's not worried about the GPS, that's a feature that's really missing. I think that they should probably add some kind of firmware where if you could tap on the screen, that will put a lap on there. So I hope that they do that, because that's something that I feel is really, really important in this watch that's really missing. So those are the timers. And then if we go to the next screen, this is gonna be your fitness test. The fitness test is basically something that will get your VO2 max. It's basically a test that you lay down for 10 minutes. There's no working out involved whatsoever. So you'll lay down for 10 minutes and just relax. And then it'll give you a VO2 max number. I don't know how it does it. I don't know what it does, but that's what it does. And that's the only fitness test that it has. Other of the more high-end watches will have more tests, like a recovery jump test, a running test, a cycling test. So there's a lot of other tests on those higher end watches. But for the Polar Unite, this is the only thing that it has, this little fitness test over here. So the next thing is gonna be your settings. You guys probably aren't too interested in that, but you can change the watch face. So this is the watch face. It can either be digital or analog. Right now I have it on digital. And you can change the color theme, whatever when you like it. I like red, so I keep it at red. And then you have your analog too, which is going to look like this. So this is the analog one that I have now. I switched to. Again, pretty, simple look, but I like it. I wish that there was a lot of different watch faces for this watch, for the Polar watches. They do not have a app store like Garmin's or Apple watches, so you're really limited on the watch faces that you could choose. Not a whole lot of watch faces. This watch also does not have music controls on it. That's something that they added on the newer watches like the V2. Those will have music controls. This Polar Unite does not have music controls. It does not store music. So in the smart notifications and all those things that Polar has, I actually turn all the smart notifications off, because for some reason, whenever you get alerted with this watch, it alerts you for every single thing on your phone. Like, if you change to the next song, your wrist will buzz. If you get a phone call, the watch will buzz until you actually press cancel on your watch. Even if you're talking, it won't automatically turn off. It'll keep buzzing for another like 2 minutes. Whenever I took a phone call, my watch would keep buzzing. I did not like that. The notifications aren't the greatest on that, so I actually turned off all those smart features. So if you're looking for a smartwatch, the Unite is definitely something that you're not going to want to look at for sure. As far as running, like I said, you need to have your GPS connected to your watch in order for it to track your running data. The GPS on my phone is definitely not as good as my other running watches. I feel like whenever I was running, this would either run a little bit short, a little bit long, and also the heart rate wasn't the greatest on this watch as well. I felt that this read a little bit low for me when I compared it to a chest heart rate monitor, but most optical heart rate monitors on your watches aren't going to be great. So if you are wanting to train with your heart rate, make sure to get a chest heart rate monitor. I know they make the H9 and H10 or any other chest heart rate monitor. It's going to be better than the optical heart rate monitor on your Polar Unite for sure. So what's the battery life on this Polar Unite? It's kind of interesting because the Polar Unite does not have GPS, right? So that, and also the fact that it does not have an always on screen, that also saves on battery life. But because it doesn't have GPS inside of it, it will last you for 50 hours if it's connected to your phone. I don't think my phone will last 50 hours, but you could definitely have a power bank attached to this so your GPS can last you a long time. 50 hours is a ton of time. But if you're just using it regularly with your heart rate, it's gonna last you about 4 days. So it's kind of interesting that it will last you a long time if you're connected to your phone. So that is one pro for it. But then again, you're probably not going to want to carry your phone with you if you're doing one of those long ultra marathons for sure. So while it's cool that it does last a long time with a connected GPS, most people aren't going to buy this watch for that fact. Alright guys, how much does this watch cost? This watch will cost you about $150. There's a lot of other watches out there that have GPS inside of them. So if you're a runner, I think that you could probably go to another watch, maybe look at the Polar Ignite or one of the Garmin 45s or something like that actually does have GPS inside of it. Because that's an important feature that this watch is missing. But this watch isn't made for runners, so $150 to be introduced into the Polar ecosystem may be worth it to some people. But we'll see what I think about it at the end. So who is this watch for? Like I said, it's for like a CrossFitter or a gym goer. Somebody trying to get into fitness, looking for a watch and trying to get into the Polar ecosystem. This is going to be the watch for you. For runners, I would definitely pass on this watch because it doesn't have GPS inside of it. But you can use it. You just have to carry your phone with you all the time if you're going to want to run with this watch. So what are my pros and cons? I think my pros are gonna be, this watch is super light. It's like, I think it's one of the lightest watches that Polar makes. Whenever you're sleeping with it, whenever it's on, you barely could tell that it's there. So that's one of the good things about it. That 50-hour connected GPS time is another pro for it for sure. The Polar ecosystem that you get with this watch is going to be my other pro for this for sure. Because if you want to get in the Polar ecosystem, Polar Flow is something that's really great to look at. It has a lot of data on it and it will track all these different things for you. And it's something that I really like Polar for. Because I really like Polar Flow and I really like FitSpark. This does have FitSpark in it, so it's like a trainer on your wrist. So what are going to be my negatives? My negatives first off are going to be this charger. I am not a fan of this charger. It's so small. I'll probably lose this in another week or two. This is something that I wish was at least corded so that I could have a bigger form factor. This is nice to have, but I'd rather it stick with what it had before. Another negative is going to be the fact that it does not have GPS on there. GPS is something that's really important, I think, nowadays, especially at a watch at a price point of $150. I feel like this was a watch that they made to get into the $150 price point, but they took off way too many things. Another thing that I don't like about this watch is the turn to wake feature. It just doesn't work as well as it should. I wish that they allowed you to customize this watch a lot more. With the length that it is on, 6 seconds is definitely not long enough. When you are in a workout mode, you can turn it to always on, but other than that, that's the only time you can do it. I just wish that it was a little bit longer. 10 seconds would be great. Another negative that I don't like that this watch has, it doesn't have a manual lap function. So you cannot go out to a track, or you can't go to a CrossFit Games or whenever you're working out and put that lap feature to time stuff. So if you want to time how long it took you to do burpees, to switch to double unders, to switch to another thing, you can't do this with this watch. Or if you want to time your rest, you can't do this with a watch. I wish it did have a manual lap function. So what I'm going to give this as a Goku Runners rating, I'm going to give this a Goku Runners like a meh. Like, it's not the watch that I would get personally if I were, a runner, or even if I'm a gym goer, because I do miss that manual lap function. It's something that it definitely should have. $150, it should definitely have GPS for sure. But if you are looking for a watch to track your calories, get into the Polar ecosystem, this might be something that you want to look for. But for me, I think that there are a lot of other watches out there that you could get rather than this one. So it's just going to get a Goku Runners meh for me. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.